I just told you then about an open letter to the federal government demanding a royal commission signed by former judges and senior barristers. That letter has now been signed by 177 prominent legal identities in 48 hours alone. Some of the biggest new names to sign include Malcolm McClusker, KC, the former governor of Western Australia, and Jack Rush Casey, a former Victorian Supreme Court judge and former Judge Advocate General of the Australian Defence Force. Other signatories previously reported include a former Australian Chief Justice and the first Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. Joining me now on set is the Sydney barrister who drafted much of that letter and got most of the New South Wales signatories on board, as well as a friend, a former colleague of Katrina Dawson, Nicholas Bender SC. Nick, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, Caroline.
First of all, I want to ask you what prompted you to help draft this letter. Why demand a royal commission into anti-Semitism?
Well, like so many other Jewish Australians for the last 2 years, I've been appalled as I've seen month after month anti-Semitism growing in this country in so many different avenues and so many different fora, not being checked in any effective way despite so much lip service being paid. And the fact that it took a massacre as terrible as what happened in Bondi to prompt a response by the government into some kind of review is itself appalling. But then to limit the review to the attack itself or to a review of governmental agencies instead of encompassing the broader issue, which is how it is in this country anti-Semitism has been permitted to get this bad over the last 2 years, in my view, is just completely wrong.
The government, well, Albanese himself has defended only supporting a state royal commission that Chris Minns, our Premier here, has committed to, and calling for this departmental review. That's what he's launched. Why isn't that enough in your view?
Well, the first question is the subject matter, and it's the same point I just made. The subject matter should be anti-Semitism. It shouldn't be the Bondi attack. That attack could have happened anywhere in Australia. It could have happened in St Kilda. It could have happened in Fremantle. The fact it happened to happen in Bondi isn't a reason to limit the inquiry to a state-based New South Wales Royal Commission. And the fact that it was the proximate result of failures of intelligence agencies or potential failures of intelligence agencies and security agencies doesn't mean we should limit the review to review of those agencies. What we need as a country to get over this problem is to take grasp of it at the federal level, to have an independent body at the federal level that's able to investigate all aspects of Australian society in accordance with the terms of reference and find a way out of this mess.
You have some pretty big names who've signed this letter. I've read out some of the latest to join. They come from different religious backgrounds, different political stripes as well. So it's not a partisan demand here. Why was it so important for you to have people come on board with this who were not Jewish when we're talking about former judges and silks at the top of their game?
Well, it's not a partisan issue. The great thing about Australia is that it's a multicultural society that historically has been welcoming to so many different immigrant groups over so many years. We want that to continue. One of the great institutions of this country are the independent bars of the various jurisdictions. We're all committed to democratic values. We may not agree on everything, but a good number of us, 177, agree on the fact there should be a royal commission into anti-Semitism. And that's irrespective of political belief or religious belief. It's a shared commitment to democratic values in this country.
I know it's an open letter. Have you had any sort of response from the Prime Minister or his office?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. That says a lot. The parents of one of the victims of the Lint Cafe terror attack in 2014, Katrina Dawson, she's a former colleague of yours, and I know that you know her brother as well. Her family has lashed out today at Anthony Albanese for using what happened to her as an excuse as to why he won't call a National Royal Commission into this attack and anti-Semitism. Here's how the Prime Minister did that yesterday.
Just note that there was no Royal Commission called by the Howard government after Port Arthur. There was no Royal Commission called by the Abbott government after the Lint siege.
Katrina Dawson's family say they wanted a National Royal Commission at the time and not the state-based inquiry they ended up with. They said that inquiry meant that federal police and ASIO could lawyer up and repeatedly claim secrecy and privilege when they were asked questions, and that a state coroner had no real power to deal with that. What did you make of the Dawson's family's response to Albanese's statements? And are these some of the concerns that you have with this attack?
What an incredible, kind, strong, resilient and empathetic family that is. I can only imagine what they must have experienced for the last week and a half when so many of their old wounds would have been reopened by some of the similarities in what occurred in Bondi as compared to what occurred in the Lint Cafe in 2014 and that tragic turn of events. So for them, in my view, extremely selflessly and full of strength to issue such a strong statement calling for a Royal Commission, with which I completely agree, was just such a tremendous sign of that family's strength, resilience and empathy, and I admire them all so much, including the memory of Katrina.
Finally, do you have an idea of whether, if there was a Royal Commission, what it might find about the Albanese government and agencies in terms of how they've handled this anti-Semitism crisis in the past couple of years?
No, I don't.
Very diplomatic, very lawyerish. Nicholas Bender, SC, thank you so much for your time and all your hard work on this issue.